welcome to Aloha. So this going to do a quick feature walkthrough of Aloha first. So the first thing, here's the Aloha. That's a cloud offering that's running in the cloud. And let's log into Aloha. Now, the first page that you see after you logged in is the default homepage for the user. So the default homepage is broken down into 3 sections. The first one shows a bit about your profile information on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, a list of spaces that you have access to. And in the middle is what we call the content stream that shows contents coming from various sources. We'll cover the content stream a bit later. The first thing that we're going to take a look at are the spaces. So let's go to one of the spaces that we currently have already built out. So the automotive space. So in a space is a collection of what we call zones. Now you can think of them as pages, such as from portal pages or digital experience pages, and these are on the horizontal bar above here. So we have the home page, then we have product communications, and so on and so forth. And on every page we have these sort of boxes over here, what we call panels, and inside each panel is an app. Now, an app can be an applications that come default out of box, such as this activity stream app that shows content streams coming from different systems. And an app can also be an integration app that's bringing contents from other systems such as Box, Google, OneDrive, and other systems. So, and then you can move around the different zones to see different contents. So over here we have contents coming from OneDrive, and there's a video coming from YouTube. And over here we have a chat coming from IBM Watson Workspace. So now that we have seen what a space looks like, let's go ahead and create a new space. So you can come here, click on the new space button. And when you're creating a new space, you have the option to create a blank space, which is the first default option, and choose an existing, what we call a blueprint of a space. A blueprint is a collection of predefined zones and panels that's already configured. And we'll take a quick look at how you can create blueprint yourself in a minute. So first, what we're going to do is create a blank space. So we're going to look at creating something from scratch. So we select blank space, and I'm going to call this Aloha, and then this is Aloha project space. So now we have our new Aloha space. Now, because we selected the blank option, we only have a default homepage, and we have nothing here. It's basically blank. Now, as the person who has just created a space, I have the ability to edit the layout of that. So by selecting the Edit Layout option, now you will see there are 2 things here. One is on the left-hand side, there are a list of all the various apps that's currently available and installed for my tenant, for my organization, that I can add to my space. And the other thing over here is I can start adding sections into my new page. So for start, we are going to add a 2-column with right sidebar section. And you can see here there is a little image here that shows you what a section looks like. So I'm going to add the section. So now we have two places where we can add apps to. So for us to add an app, in this case, I want to put an activity stream here. I can just drag and drop that in here. And let's go ahead and add a few more. So I want to add, let's say, a box app. And let's say we can also add OneDrive app. This one here, just drag. Now, once we have added the apps here, we can also select the options down here to take a look, so we can look at how our space is going to look like on a mobile device. So clicking on the mobile option, so this is on a mobile phone. And if we tap it again, this will show how it looks like if the phone is turned 90 degrees horizontally. Now we also have one for tablet. We can select that and then take a look at what our space will look like in a tablet format. So once we have added our apps, now we can leave the edit view, and then we can see our spaces populated with contents coming from Box, as well as contents coming from OneDrive. Now we can go ahead and add additional zones to our space. So we come here and select the Add Zone option. Now when you're adding a zone, the first thing is you can select an icon for the zone. And just like creating a space, you can create a blank zone. That's a default option. Or you can choose from an existing template that's created by you or somebody else in your organization. Let's create a blank one. And for this one, let's call it Documents. Become Create Zone. And now we have our documents template. So now let's go to Edit Layout. And I am just going to create a quick three column section and drag a few apps in here. And let's just add another box one. And let's add a SharePoint one. SharePoint file list. So now we have contents coming from OneDrive, Box, and SharePoint. And now I have created a documents page. Let's and with 3 columns. Let's say that I like the setup for all my new pages, but I don't want to go through that many clicks in order to create one. So we can go.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
This is where do you configure those apps? Because I think they're all pre-configured.
So that depends. So that's a good question. So that depends on the apps. So for OneDrive and Box, by default, they will load your home directory contents or contents that you can see. So that's why they're showing contents as soon as you have them loaded. Yeah. Now for SharePoint, on the other hand, as you can see, instead of showing any default contents, you actually see the configuration page. So it's asking you either to select a folder that's already exists on SharePoint and display its content, or create a new folder. So it's depends on the purpose of the app, and if the app is going to show default contents, if it has any, or it will present you with a configuration option or prompt you to configure it if it doesn't.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So let's see, where was I? So yeah, so if I've created a three column layout and for document, and let's say I like this layout and I want to keep reusing that. So I can come here and select the Save as Template, and this will save our current zone as a template. And let's give the name. So let's call it document page template. So now we have created our template. The next time we go and add a new zone, let's select a different icon. And here we go. Here's our document page template. We can select that. And this time, let's say we call it projects. Actually, let's call it tasks. And click on Create Zone. So here's our new task zone. And it's using the 3 column layout and with the 3 apps added. But of course, we can edit the layout and we can add additional contents to that. So let's say I want to remove the SharePoint app, and because this is showing tasks, so we want to show Jira contents, and let's add another one and pulling into Jira Agile board to show our project tasks. Now that we have added that, you can see on the Jira list, it's actually prompting you that the app needs to be configured. So let's go configure the app, and let's say, I believe Scrum should give us some information. Click on Scrum. There we go. It's now showing issues coming from Jira, which is a task tracking system. For those that's not familiar with Jira, and for Agile board, configure that. and Scrum board. So that will bring us our Scrum board. So this is us bringing contents from other systems into the space. Now with these apps, there are also user experience and actual functionalities built into them. So if we take the Jira app, for example, we can actually click on an issue here, a task, and you can see the contents of the task, and you can actually perform all different kind of operations on that task, just like if you're using Jira directly. So for example, currently the status of the task of this issue is in progress. I can transition this issue, and if I've completed that, I can click on done. And as you can see, now the status of the issue is set to done. I can add a comment. Completed this, please verify. So now that just added the comment, and all these changes are actually pushing the changes straight to Jira, the source of truth. So anybody else that's working on the same issue from the Jira user interface directly, they will see these changes there in real time as well. So there wouldn't be any synchronization problems. And if we look at the Jira Agile board, now the Jira Agile board is showing a lot of contents, of course. So we can expand that so we can get a bigger view on that. And on the board, we can drag and drop contents on the Agile board, just like if I'm interacting with the Jira Agile board directly. I can select the task, and we can see more contents about the task that I'm interested in. And for Box, these are the file management applications. Let's say we can click into a subfolder and see the contents of that, and we can actually click on the files, and then we can. So in this case, it's a PDF file. We can actually preview the contents of that. So generating the preview. Now the preview is shown. We can actually look at the content. We can go full screen because the file contains a lot of information. And we can add comments. This looks good. And then this comment is posted directly into Box. So again, anybody else that's also looking at the file, they will see the content I have just posted. And I can look at other information about the size of the file as well. So we have a lot of apps that we already have. So you can see the big list of that. We wouldn't go through all of them, of course, because of time constraints, but just showing you some of them, Jira and Box, to give you an idea of what some of the apps can do. So we have our spaces, this particular Aloha space, and let's say that I want to use this setup for all of our software development spaces going forward, where we have a home page, we have a page for documents, a page for tasks. So I can now save the space as a blueprint. Click on that, and let's say let me call it software project blueprint. Click on OK. That will create the blueprint for us. So now if we go to the create space page, we can see this is our new software project blueprint. So instead of creating a blank one and then populate all the zones and pages and apps manually, we can now select this blueprint. And let's call this Aloha V2 Aloha project. Click on create space. Now you just created a space with the home, documents, and task zones with all the apps populated. So I don't have to go in and manually do all that myself again. So that covers the space and apps. The next thing I'm going to show, let me go back to the Aloha space because I like the name better. The next thing we're going to show is the activity stream or the content source streams. So currently for this particular space, Aloha, there's nothing to show because it's a new space. There's been no activities, no content set up, so it's empty. So what we can do is go to settings, space settings, go to intelligence, and add a few sources. So click on the create source option. Now out of box, we have RSS, and then we're going to have additional sources supporting different other systems such as Jira. As you can see here, is marked as coming soon, but the Jira app has the capability of creating sources. Later on, we will have new additional sources that we can create, such as coming from Box, SharePoint, OneDrive, all the other integrations that we have. We will add support for streams. So let's go ahead and create an RSS source. Click on the create source option, and let's get RSS stream source. And I think this one, we're gonna get the source from the Moz blog RSS. Click on create. That created our RSS source. So now if we go back to our space, we should see we have contents coming through populated in our stream. You can click on the stream item, and you can actually see the contents from the source directly. So we have some images, text, tables, okay, and even this is just an image. But if you have things such as YouTube videos, other kind of contents, you will also be able to see and play them here. For this, you can like them. Of course, you can bookmark them if you want to read them later, or just keep an item. Just have that bookmark so you can come back a few weeks down the track and revisit this particular item. You can add comments to that. So over here this is an interesting item. You can post a comment. So we get the comment posted, and everyone and other people will see this new comment. As you can see, click on here, and they will see that my comment is showing up. Now, another thing that's of interest is you will see this number here below this icon. Now, currently, I think they're all showing 0. Now, what this number here represents is a score that the system thinks how relevant or how interesting this particular item may be to you. And this is all powered by cognitive AI. So in this case, we're using Watson AI. And this number here is generated based on you as the user's reading and usage behavior. So as you create more contents, as you read and consume more contents, the system will learn about your behavior, and then based on that, it will then give recommendations about what contents it thinks will be relevant or of interest to you. So if we click on this item and you see there's tags, and click on show tags, and we can see a lot of tags being generated. These are actually all generated by Watson as well. So when you're reading the content, Watson will learn that you are reading this content. Watson will read through this content, and by using natural language processing, will try to extract some of the key concepts, entities, and keywords about the content, and using that to build up its understanding about you as a user. So it will then be able to better assist you and provide you with recommendations. Yeah. So as we click through more of these contents, it might take a while. It might take a few more clicks, but in order for it to register any of these items of interest. There we go. So now you see it went from 0 to 2 for this content because Watson has detected because I clicked around on some of these items, and it contains concepts and entities that that may be interest for me. So that's one part of AI and cognitive. And another part where it comes in is if we go to the user profile section. As you can see, there's at the bottom here, there's an interests and a few tags listed here. So again, this is Watson based on what I have read in the past, all the different things coming from contents or contents I have created. It compiles a list of things and then pick out the top most read concepts and entities or keywords and present that to me. And it's actually available for all the users. Now, this is just the beginning strokes of bringing cognitive functions into Aloha. Alan will be able to tell you more about the grander, bigger vision about cognitive probably after the demo. So let's go back to our Aloha space. So we have contents coming from RSS, but you as a member of the space, you can also post content yourself into the space and have them show up in the stream. So you can click on the post new content. And let's say I want just to say welcome to the automotive space because I want to welcome all the users. And we have a rich text editor here. So we can say welcome to this. Actually, this is not automotive. This is Aloha. New space for Aloha project. And we can make it bold. And let's say choose some colors. Let's say make it blue. And we can insert a video. I actually have a video ready here. Let me drag this down. This is our first cut of the Aloha video. And let's insert that. Insert that video. There we go. And I'm just going to post that. So now the post is being added. Now this post is actually being created and then actually sent to Watson as we speak. So here's our new post. Clicking on that. There's our video. There's our tag. And let's see. There we go. Watson picked out some concepts here. So it understands I'm talking about Aloha and actually picked out that our video has rock music in it. Down here, we have we have a number of languages here. I think we have about 10 or 11 languages. I think Dutch is one of them. So that currently it translates the Aloha UI. So I think that is search. I'm guessing that's
settings.
Yeah.
So this is literally about 24 hours old, this language.
Cool. That's interesting.
Okay, let me change that to English. All right. Okay, so the next thing is the content store. That's right. So we have a content store. The content store manages many different kind of contents. The first one is the assets. So these are files such as images or Word docs or audio, video files, any kind of files that you wish to upload into the system that can be either A, processed by AI and B, also reused actually as contents as part of your space. So so we have a few files already uploaded and MP3, some Word docs. We'll see how we can actually use them in a minute. The next one is content snippets. So these are actually contents that you can create, and then you can then just use them in the space or in a read-only session. So these may be things about contents. Let's say company news, warning messages, legal notices. For example, we can click on that. This is the privacy warning message. It's a big red warning. And there's also zone templates. So these are the templates for the zones or pages you create. This is the document page template we just created. And we have space blueprints. So these are the blueprints that you can use when you're creating the new spaces for. And here's our software project blueprint. And we also have global blueprints. So global blueprints, you can think of them as public blueprints that any customers will have access to. These are sort of in place to help you get started quickly. And if you like one of these blueprints, you can come in here and add them into your space blueprints. These are sort of more your private blueprints. These are blueprints that's only available to your organization.
Tenant.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so let's go back to our space and let's create a new zone. Add a new zone, and let's select an icon. We'll keep it blank, and let's call it contents. And let's go edit the layout, create a few sections. I'm gonna have a big one on the top.
Is everybody actually able to create a zone or a space, or you have to have the permissions correctly set? Or
yep, there'll be permissions on that. So we have a normal user permission, who's basically just view only, and then there's admins who can control everything, and then content creators who can come in and then create the zones and the contents without having to rely on one or two administrators, so not to overburden them. But we have different set of permission settings and roles for different things.
Right, okay, thanks.
So let's say we want to drag a few contents that we have. So one is for Microsoft Word. I'm going to put actually I'm going to put include here. Actually, I'm going to swap the order. So put a snippet on the top, and let's put a video, put an audio, and let's put an image as well. Why not? So now we have those. So snippet. So we have privacy warning. So we want this to be a private. There we go. So now it just brings in the warning message, the privacy warning message, saying this is a private demo space. Don't share anything. For Word, we have a Word document, a docx. Let's save that. So that will bring the actual Word docs contents and show that as part of the space content. It's a pretty big Word doc. And we have a few videos. We can also play audio here. And we have some image. So now I'm going to answer the question about apps. So with apps, we go to organization administrators. Actually, over here, just very quickly see the different permissions for content authors, create space, organization admin. So there are different levels of permissions on who can do what. And let's go to apps. So here's a list of apps that's currently available. So the ones that says installed, they're installed, and the one that says available, I can install them. Now, you can add any apps you want, and if you want to create your own app, you can add them to here as well. So, so I'm just going to give you an example here. Let's say we have a Salesforce app. You can see this is a separate app. It's running on a different domain, even the appspokes.net domain versus the AlohaDXP domain. So it's definitely separate. And this app is actually created for IBM Connections. So from this app here, you see it contains 1, 2, 3, 4 those applications you can add to a space, as well as an activity stream called Salesforce Stream. Now let me minimize that. And just to show you that I'm not faking anything, let's go to Aloha and go to edit layout. We have no Salesforce. There's nothing Salesforce here. And so now let's go ahead with Salesforce, click install. Yes, I want to install that. So now the Salesforce app is installed. And let's go to edit layout. There we go. We have 4 Salesforce apps that we can drag and drop into our space. And not only that, because our Salesforce app had declared itself to have the capability as to act as a source for streams, we can go to space settings, intelligence, create source, and now we have Salesforce. Now, granted, with this, there's actual plumbing and things needs to do in order to add that as a source into Aloha. But this just goes to show you that you can bring your own apps and register them, and then the Aloha platform will happily take them in and then make them available inside itself.
Question: in what language do you write your own apps?
So we are language agnostic. So it can be any language you want. It can be Java, it can be .NET, Python, Node.js, whatever you choose to, because we use our open standard for this registration and communication between the apps and Aloha. And let me just actually show you. Here's a quick high-level image of what we're talking about. So the way we're building this is with extensibility in mind. So with Aloha, we have our React.js based front end, and everything that you see that I was doing with all the drag and drops, the adding zones, creating spaces, all of that is done with an API. So everything I do is an API, and all the communications between the integration systems, the content storage, and all the cognitive functions with IBM Watson, all of that is through HTTP, REST, and JSON. So that's all open standard. There's no lock-ins that to say you have to use Java or you have to use a particular language. It's whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay, but then you have to register your app somewhere.
That's correct. And to register the app is coming to here. This is our sort of Aloha super admin section where you create tenants and register applications. So from here it's a very simple UI at the moment, but you can just register your apps. And for your app, in order for it to be registered, all you really have to do is, let me drag this down. I'll just show this. Is give it a very simple descriptor file with some name, description, usual metadata, and as well as tell us we have these many apps, these many functionalities, this stream, and that's it. It's very simple. You don't have to rewrite your app from scratch. You just have to describe your app to us, so we know what capabilities and features your app would have. And once you have done that, register that, and they will be made available.
And as long as the app, as our custom app serves JSON, then everything's just fine.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, that covers the main features of Aloha. Of course, there are things such as user management, group management, the general look and feel settings. You can change the color settings, change the logos.
How flexible is that?
Yeah.
Sorry, Robert.
Thank you, Dennis. No, that's exactly the question I was going to.
Sorry, what's the question?
That's also, Ellen, we had this discussion, I think 2 weeks ago when you were in Utrecht about the look and feel of Aloha.
So, yeah. So,
now,
well, just say it yourself. Go ahead. He wants to know how flexible, like others, if you can apply CSSs and additional layouts or how flexible are we going with this? I think is the question.
Right. Yeah. So the goal with that is that you will be able to apply your custom CSS and even make the main UI to be extendable. The goal, of course, for us is to make Aloha as extensible as possible, not just from the back-end services as well as from the front-end services. So you will be allowed, you will have bring your own custom CSS to change the colors or layouts of the UI, as well as adding your own menu options to menus. So let me just go to the space again. So obviously,
also adding custom layouts.
Custom layouts, yes. Custom layouts, menu items, yeah, because everything, as I was showing before, because everything here is there's nothing tied to the back end. Everything is as an API, so that gives a lot of flexibility in terms of the ability to customize and extend the UI as well as the back end. You can even, what we like to get to that is you will even be able to, let's say, add a new button here somewhere or add a new menu item here that will actually make a remote call to either our backend or some system that you have for it to do something different. Something that's specific to your use case. You wouldn't have to wait for us to add a new button or new menu item to do something. Maybe something pretty simple. You might want to add an invitation menu option here to have a quick way to invite people to the space, right? And you will be able to do that yourself. That's a kind of extensibility and customization we want to make available.
Yeah, because I believe that would make the product much better. Just have a completely customizable look and feel.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree.
It will also make our UX designers more happy.
Yeah. Yes. So the way we designed Aloha from the start is we're keeping the Aloha platform, the core of that, as small as possible. In that its main focus is to support the main core features such as user management, group management, creating spaces, managing spaces, sort of the core features of that, and everything else around it, all the other additional features will be done as extensions. So as you have seen, things like Box, showing content from Box, getting things, sending things to Watson, all of that, they're all done through extensions. And what that actually means is that because we are building the platform as an extension, that means we don't, not like other platforms where we as the vendor will have access to all these private secret APIs, so we can do fancy things, while other people that want to extend and customize, there's very limited. They won't be able to do anything. So the way that we are designing it, where all the features are going to be extensions. And so we will be dog-fooding our own APIs. We will be dog-fooding our own extensibility of the platform. So we're incentivized to make sure that our platform is extensible. Our APIs are actually meaningful, instead of having APIs for the sake of APIs. So we're incentivized to make our platform as extensible as possible. That's going to be beneficial for customers or partners and anyone else that wants to extend and build on top of it.
Correct, yeah.
So you talked about the core feature, user and group management. Is it also possible to hook up any kind of identity provider like Azure AD or AD on-prem or federation product?
Yes. So currently we support we support SAML-based IDPs. So that'll be, I think, AD. Microsoft AD.
Azure.
Yes.
ADFS.
Salesforce, SiteMinder. We're supporting that first, and also just direct synchronization with LDAP. So synchronizing users and groups between, just like a direct with LDAP. Those are the two that we currently have. Looking at support for other type of user directory mechanisms later as well.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of experience in this space, but we're also trying to be minimum viable and let the customers push these features set, because it can get to be a lot, as you know. So we've seen a lot of scenarios for sure. But
what does the storage tab do?
The storage, so currently this is just to make sure that that storage, in this case, our default storage is configured. Now the vision for that is it's actually here that you will configure or add additional storage, content storage types that you want. Yeah. So we have all these things that we ideas that we're gonna do.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and I'd like to just I'd be cognizant of the time. It's 8 minutes after the hour. I did extend the Zoom to go 30 minutes hour, but so we can continue if you want. But just as a quick overview, a lot of this and these features, especially at the administration level, have come from our many different services gigs that we've done over the years, as well as, and a lot of the thoughts and thinking behind this has come from also our plugin development and services development as an outside party, which of course is also you guys. So what we always get frustrated with the vendors of the platforms is they're always just in their world as a platform, but they're not living the world of the external extensibility developer. And so I would argue that this is done from the ground up as an external development perspective, and to favor the external developers and the extensibility in terms of its design and portability and requirements. And that's, I think, is a real, what are the biggest features of Aloha at a high level.
Yeah, we want to make sure that what we can do, you can do. So everything we do is an API, and those APIs will be available to you guys or anyone else as well. So
yeah. And where possible, we're not breaking the law on our side. We have to act like you guys. We have to be a plugin developer. We have to be a services developer just like anyone else to our own platform.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. One thing actually I forgot is search as well. So any contents that's fed through, that's fed through the content services that you create, that gets sent to Watson and all that, they will also be searchable. So in a way, it is sort of an aggregated, or what's the word?
Federated
search capability building. So any contents that comes through Aloha will be searchable. So
right.
If I search for like Scrum, that should bring me contents from Jira.
Does it take security into account? For example, when I logged in as with my user ID and I see box content, for example, that's only dedicated to me.
Relevant to you. So
yeah,
is it
how is the indexing? Does it take into account the access control on that?
Yeah, so that it does take access control into consideration, and it's also based on the contents because all the contents actually they come through various spaces. So if you don't have access to a particular space, then you wouldn't have access to those contents. Therefore, they wouldn't they wouldn't show up in your search results. And of course, as soon as you leave the space, either voluntarily or otherwise, you lose access to the space, meaning you lose access to those contents as far as from Aloha standpoint, then they wouldn't show up here either.
Right. And this, you can see this UI is relatively simple at this stage. We have in our plans some relevancy, porting over some of the things that could come from Watson and continue. I mean, this is a running feature piece that is quite powerful.